Well, hello! I'm painting with a spoon, and I'm so glad that you're here today. It's Dena Tollefson, and welcome to my studio. I'm going to be applying this texture with these palette knives that you see, and some spoons. And I've saved the spoons just for painting. But the colors that we'll be using are all from golden, heavy-bodied acrylics. We've got titanium white, and then primary yellow, diarylide yellow, pyrrole orange, napthol red, alizarin crimson, dioxazine purple, phthalo blue red shade, one of my favorite blues to work with, French ultramarine blue, teal, and this makes my standard palette once I add black in there, but in this particular painting I'm also going to be adding in two unusual colors for me, light violet and a light green yellow shade. Now this wonderful bright blue that you see here is a combination of phthalo blue red shade, a little bit of titanium white, and some yellow ochre. And now taking some of that diarylide yellow and using a painting knife, I'm going to mix in some purple and create a little bit darker shade and get that up. I want to have a mix of warm and cool colors into my painting. Oh, and say hello to my little Yorkie Scrunchie. And Scrunchie stays near me when I'm painting. And come here, Scrunchie. Oh, and she can have a little doggy treat. Here we go, Scrunchie. Good girl. So here you can see me putting some of the teal on the sky, and I'm using a thin painting knife. And this painting knife gives a really nice long stroke. So I'm also, as I'm putting this texture on, I'm thinking about using a mixture of different sizes. So the spoon will give a nice rounded shape. And then this little thin painting knife will give a thin, small little mark. And I'm also thinking about creating a textural effect. And I want this painting to feel kind of like a cross between a traditional painting, which is flat, and a low relief sculpture, which is very textural, and then a mosaic, which is going to have spaces between the shapes. And then you get these individual pieces, and then all the individuals are kind of interesting on their own, but when they all fit together, they make this really neat unified effect. So, and a tactile or touchable feeling is also super important to me. I like that if you're going to feel like you want to reach out and touch one of my paintings, then I've done my job that I had set out to do. So let's get some marks up here. And there we go. So I am focusing on getting a sense of motion in my painting. And I'm doing this by moving my paintbrush in the underpainting in a swirling direction. And then also this top layer that you see here of texture, I'm following the lines that I've already established in the swirl of that underpainting to try and echo that feeling. And you can do this also in your own work if you use your brush strokes, and if you're going to add texture on top, follow the movement that you've already established, and this will help show emotion, and it will help show that intention in your work. So the Sky series really, represents to me how God every day gives us a promise. He gives us a promise of a new sunrise, and every day He is making a new sunset for us, and if we just stop and pay attention, we'll see these things, these promises that God is giving us. And I am inspired by the idea of God breathing out onto the earth to create a sky, and I'm using this inspiration to create that sense of motion. And thinking about this sense of motion, is it wind? Is it fragrance? Is it energy? Thinking about the birds in the air and the fishes in the water, all of the insects, and how they're all reacting to this breath of God. And if any of you are familiar with Amy Grant, I went to a concert of hers in the late 1980s with some of my sorority sisters from Iowa State, and I had her albums, and there's this one song in particular which really speaks to me, and it's called Breath of Heaven, Mary's Song. And if you're familiar with that, if you ever get a chance, it's a beautiful song. If you ever get a chance to hear it, I, I strongly recommend that song. Okay, so now back with the spoon. Getting some marks up over here. Just following the motion of the strokes. And we need some mark right there. And there. And this painting is heading over to Canyon Road Contemporary Art, the wonderful art gallery who represents my originals in Santa Fe, New Mexico. Oh, and do you see Scrunchy is sitting underneath my, she's sitting underneath my table in my studio. She's up over in underneath there on a little pillow. She's waiting for me. Well, I hope that you have enjoyed today's video and you're going to come back and see me again here in the studio. And I would love it if you would leave me a comment to say hello. So until next time, it's Dena Tollefson and all my best to you. Bye-bye.